Welcome to Safe and Sound, a monthly podcast on cybersecurity, presented by GrandPad and the Layton Podcast Network.
Welcome to Safe and Sound, the GrandPad podcast where we talk about keeping seniors safe, connected, and thriving in a tech-driven world. I'm Sarah Wilchin, Senior Client Success Manager at GrandPad, and joining me as always is my co-host, Derek Barksdale, our Director of Privacy and Security.
Hello, everyone. In each episode, we dive into ways families can feel confident and secure as they stay connected through technology. So we hope to expand on that today and give you some fresh new information.
And today we are thrilled to have Dr. Kerry Burnight with us. She's a gerontologist, a longtime advocate for older adults, the former chief gerontologist here at GrandPad, and the author of a new New York Times best-selling book, Joyspan. The art and science of thriving in the art and science of thriving in life's second half. We are thrilled to have you here with us today.
I'm delighted to be here. Thank you very much.
And today we're going to explore how her Joyspan framework connects to technology in some ways, because digital safety isn't just about avoiding scams. It's about protecting our autonomy, our connection, and our joy. And we hope to continue bring joy to our seniors as we go through time.
Yeah, Dr. Kerry, let's jump in and let's talk about Joyspan itself. I love that term. It just brings me joy and puts a smile on my face. But I'd love for you to tell us more about what that term means to you, like what inspired you to create it and help others live it.
So in gerontology, for the past 30 years, I have talked about and cared about and thought about lifespan, how long we live. And then more recently, about in the 80s, late 80s, the term was introduced, health span. And that makes it so it's not just how many years you live, but it's how many years you live in good physical health. And that matters, and it's something that we are pursuing.
And so you could think of it as well-being span, but that's really not very catchy. And so when I saw that the American Psychological Association defines joy as well-being and life satisfaction, it hit me that it is joy span. And so joy is contentment and feeling like you're in the driver's seat of your life. And it is possible all life long. And like physical health, it takes attention and work and knowledge. And so that's why I'm so delighted to have gathered the knowledge into the book and to share it there and then to share it here today as well.
Love that perspective. So much of your work focuses on well-being, and in the book you discuss adapt to handle major life setbacks, health crises, loss of a spouse, or financial worries. Can you share with us a powerful story or a simple tool from the book that illustrates how someone can cultivate emotional resilience in those times?
Yes. So one thing I know from working with thousands of people in their journeys is that challenge and change is inevitable. And so I haven't experienced any lives that don't have rough stuff, things that we didn't expect, things that break our heart and cause grief. And I had a number of people that when the hard thing happened, I then watched them suffer for the rest of their lives. And that is problematic because suffering for a certain amount of time is part of the human experience. But suffering then for the rest of our lives is just more suffering. And so in really combing through the literature, what is it? Why is it that we'll find, for example, one gentleman who has the same socioeconomic status and background and life experience and even health, and maybe he's a widow, and he's seemingly doing just fine, enjoying his hard, long life, and then someone else in the same circumstances who's just suffering so profoundly. And what I found is that, like you said, one of the four key components of that was the ability and the desire to adapt. And adapting is rough, right? And it doesn't just happen. And we certainly don't snap our fingers and say, oh, okay, I'm okay now. Instead, it's the intentional work of first recognizing what the challenge is. Let's use the example of losing your partner, of, your spouse of 60 years. We want to put it first forward and hold space for the grief and the challenge and the hardship, and sometimes feeling like it's like your arms and legs cut off. And with acknowledging that pain, also recognize, what is it that I can do to take this pain and continue to live? Because that's what my spouse would want. That's what my adult children would want. That's what my grandchildren would want. And this isn't easy. So the literature around adapting is about coping. And there are both internal mechanisms that have been proven to be effective and external mechanisms. And I'll just give you an example of each. So internally, there's something that's so seemingly simple, but actually shown to be effective. And that is, when we're going through these hard times, taking, for example, a blank book or a notebook, and first writing down what that thing is. And let's use another example. Let's say I absolutely love walking, and I am now in a position where, given my bilateral knee and hip replacements and other conditions, I'm not able to walk. So with the journal, you would write it out like, this is hard. I have walked for the past 82 years, and now I'm in this wheelchair. This is hard. So you're putting it out there, opposite of toxic positivity. And then the exercise is then writing about it, and then each day also writing about or listing out things that you're grateful for. And at first I found in my own case, the example I'll give is that our daughter, right before she left for medical school, was diagnosed with a brain tumor. And I was mad and I was disappointed, and I kept thinking, my 96-year-old mother or my 56-year-old self or my 58-year-old husband, but what? Our daughter, no, this isn't right. So I wrote about it in that journal, and I wrote all my honest, not so beautiful feelings about it. And it doesn't make for great reading. But then I forced myself to say, and also, what is right? And what is right is, and I wrote about her, and I wrote about the other kids, and I wrote about the fact that we have a home, and the fact that there is doctors who specialize in this kind of tumor. And I proactively really tried to continue about what is right. So it's a long way of saying, one coping mechanism that anyone can use is to push yourself to find what is right, even with the things that are wrong.
Wow, such a powerful perspective.
We are family. Sister Sledge. For people listening who might feel they're out of touch with family or family members because they're not connected, not wired, as they say, unable to share emails, correspond with kids, grandkids, nieces and nephews, well, now they can be connected. You can be connected. The best part is it's easy to do. The solution is called GrandPad. GrandPad is a simple and secure tablet that connects you to your family and friends. No longer do you have to miss out on birthdays, graduations, weddings, other special occasions. Even everyday activities can all be shared on a GrandPad tablet. With GrandPad, you can view family photos and videos, play games, check on the weather, listen to your favorite music, send and receive emails, even voice emails, make outbound phone calls by just tapping a picture or a graphic on the screen. You don't have to take a computer course to do this. GrandPad's simple month-to-month, no-risk, no-contract membership includes everything you need to connect with your digital family. It comes with all the support that you need to stay in touch. Visit grandpad.net, just the way it sounds, grandpad.net. See how this simple device can be an incredibly powerful way to share all of life's little and big moments. See what a difference it can make in your life, the life of a parent or relative who would love to be in touch.
I want to switch lanes just a little bit. So here I deal with scams and our seniors being scammed, and we try to educate them on how to protect themselves against scams. And most scams target seniors. They often play on the fact that they are lonely. And according to your book, the science is clear, right? That loneliness can be as harmful as smoking. So what are some actionable steps someone can take to be more proactive about connecting and forming new relationships as their existing circles may change?
Yes. So the way that we define loneliness is wanting more social interaction than you currently have. And so that means you can be lonely even around other people or in a marriage, or you can feel less lonely even though you're by yourself. So I just wanted our listeners to sort of ask yourself really honestly, like, do I wish I had more social interaction than I currently have? And if you're honest, all of us at certain times experience loneliness. And I have that in my current life, even though, I'm not yet into my, 80s and 90s. I have times where I think, I'm not seeing friends and I wish I had something more on the calendar going on. And so it's normal and it's good to sort of start with admitting it to yourself. And then the second thing is to think, okay, it is a risk factor. Loneliness is a risk factor of cognitive impairment. Loneliness isn't good for the length of our life. It isn't good for our physical health. In fact, it impacts inflammation. And like you said, Derek, it is such a big risk factor in people being able to take advantage of us through these really sophisticated scams. And scam artists prey on people who wish they had more social interaction. And that is many of us. So in order to fortify yourself with connection, in order to put yourself in the best possible cognitive and against scams and living a long time and all the things you want, it requires you to be really proactive in your friendships. And one sentence to think about is being that friend. And that friend is the one who picks up the phone and calls, even though you haven't talked in a long time, who remembers that maybe it's been 5 years since your wife's passing, who remembers birthdays, who puts something on the calendar, who makes the reservation at the restaurant. And sometimes when we're limited with mobility. So my mother is no longer driving, and so she isn't able to jump in the car and go to lunch. In fact, it's actually hard to get from anyone's car into the restaurant because of her arthritis and congestive heart failure. And so we need to get pretty creative in being proactive. And so phone calls are great. And with, my goodness, with the GrandPad, you can see the person that you're talking to. And what a gift that is, because that leads to a whole level of interaction when you can see the other person's face. So anytime I have a client come and say they really haven't much to look forward to and they really don't see anybody much, I listen carefully and show my compassion. But then I do say, with kind of a tough hand, tell me about who you have reached out to. And then there's always kind of a, well, I haven't reached out. Like, aha, you need to be the one here in the reaching out. And it got to kiss a few frogs, right? Like, we'll reach out to people and maybe somebody doesn't reciprocate, doesn't return our call, doesn't return our GrandPad call. But that's when you go, okay, maybe it's going to take 5 or 10 reaches out, but I'm going to get somebody. And when you do make that connection, you're solving not just your problem, but theirs as well, because we are living in a lonely and disconnected world, and people need it, particularly the younger generation. So if you can reach out to people who are behind you in the process, you are doing them a real service. So calling your grandkids and maybe even their friends who don't have grandparents, or all these things that we can do to help this generation who is quite disconnected.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Like, we're in such a digital world, and it's easy to reach out and connect with people. And yet then there aren't those connections happening. And you do have to be so intentional and mindful of it and make space for that and with that intention. So it's sad to hear about all the loneliness that's out there and how that does make our older adults targets for people to prey on, that they know they are seeking to reach out to somebody. And so they reach out in a false way and get them to grab on to that and, prey upon that. But with meaningful and intentional connections, we can really bridge so many divides and just create so many meaningful connections. And I love that you brought in that it's different generations too, because it's older folks are lonely, but there's a lot of isolation in other generations. And when we can really span that, there's so much everybody can learn from one another that they can really make such a synergistic effect in all of that, because we all have so much to share with one another that it just makes it meaningful for everybody. I really loved when you said you're not just solving your problem, but you're solving it for somebody else. And you just bring more people into that circle of joy and that circle of connection. And I think when we have more of those meaningful connections, it just keeps everybody safer, happier, healthier in the world.
It really matters. I mean, if it was a medication, we would all be clamoring for it because social connection is so powerful. And society needs what older people have to offer. And there's many things that get better as you get older, and yet it's really not publicized. With all this anti-aging nonsense, we only focus on things that maybe don't, that decline. But what we don't hear about is what is documented in the literature, and that is that as we get older, we're not so beholden to what other people think about us. And it's wonderful. We have greater potential for humility, which is something our society really needs. We have greater emotional regulation. We haven't such angry ups and downs. We're a little smoother. We have greater potential for spirituality, which is something that so many societies are needing. And we can also appreciate our connections and music and art and humor. So by leaning into recognizing in ourselves these things that have gotten better as we've gotten older, and then recognizing that younger people need this, it gives us power to pick up the phone or the grandpad and call and say, I'm thinking about you today. Let's talk. It's a gift to the person that you're calling for you to impart that which is better as we've gotten older.
Yeah, I so agree. And I think the other part of it, and as we continue to focus on those connections at GrandPad and also focus on ways we can keep our older adults safe, that when you build that community around you, you don't make decisions and you don't make choices in a vacuum. Then when you have that community around and something seems amiss or off or frightening or unusual, you have that community and you have those connections to lean into so that you don't get pressured into some of the scams that are out there or pressured into making a decision that you might not make if you didn't have some other ideas to, bounce ideas off of with other people. That when you have that community, it just makes everyone stronger.
What a great point. And having worked in that field, I ran an elder abuse and forensic center for many years before I worked at GrandPad. And what we need to remember is how sophisticated. So it isn't because we as older people aren't smart or tech savvy or clever. It's because people have intentionally misled us. And sometimes, if you've been taken advantage of, you feel shame. And I always, when I work with people, I say, the shame isn't on you. The shame is on these people who have conscientiously, tried to deceive people in these so talk about it. If something seems strange to you, tell somebody about it. Or if you've been taken advantage of and you've been tricked, the shame isn't on you, and it's okay to say to a loved one, you know something? This person made it seem like it was a really real opportunity. And of course, like you, I thought that it was truth because I'm a truth-telling person. So the more we can shed light on it, and that's what I love, what Derek, as the head of GrandPad's efforts in this way, has made it a topic that we talk about, and that people of all ages succumb to this scams. It's not just older people, and it's something that we can talk about. We can shine a light on it.
Exactly. And I think you both hit this head on. I often share with my mother that if anything looks suspicious, call me. And in the reverse, I always check on her to make sure, did you get any emails? Have you sent anything anywhere that, I need to kind of look at from a technology standpoint? So I'm always reviewing those things with her to make sure that she stays aware, and also educating her as we grow along. And here at GrandPad, of course, we design closed ecosystems to reduce those risks. No open emails, no external app downloads. And we have that built-in family circle of trust for communication. So we always know who we are communicating to, and we're not communicating to strangers or allowing our seniors to communicate to strangers or individuals that are outside of that circle. And I think that's one of the things that makes GrandPad great for seniors.
Agreed.
Absolutely. It keeps everybody connected and keeps the bad guys out. Dr. Kerry, these have been so many amazing points today, so many great ideas to think about, but I'd love to do a little quick lightning round with you and just get some one answer or one sentence answers. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. What do you think is the biggest myth about aging?
The biggest myth is that it's all decline. The reality is there's decline in some areas and there is way better in other areas.
I love that. What is one habit that adds both joy and safety?
One habit that adds joy and safety is intentionally deciding how you want your future you to be and how you want to be remembered. Because genetics is only less than 25%. The rest is up to us. And how we live these older years is what our legacy is to those who follow us. So in one word, it would be choice.
Oh, I love that. What is something every family should do this week?
This very week, have the conversation about what matters to you. I think sometimes we forget the big picture of, as an older person, this is what matters to me now. Because sometimes our family members are surprised by what it is. Like, this no longer matters. This matters. And if it matters to you, it's your life. And that's what we should be spending our time and effort on.
I love that. That's a great notion. Because you're right. Sometimes what matters changes and you think you know, and something has shifted. So it's good to check in and make sure that you do know what is mattering to the people that are around you. So thank you so much for being here, Dr. Kerry, and for taking on our lightning round challenge and giving us just a few more nuggets before we wrap up here today.
Oh, I'm grateful for the work that you are doing, and I'm grateful for this community, because what a wonderful source of connection in a world that can often be lonely.
Dr. Kerry, also, no pun intended, it was a joy having you here today to share your insights. It's inspirational to see how emotional well-being and technology and the work you're doing, how it enhances our seniors' way of living. Tell everyone where they can find your book, the various avenues that they might go to purchase it.
Thanks very much. So libraries are carrying Joyspan, so that's a nice free way to go. And if the library doesn't have it, you can request it there. It's also sold at local bookstores, or in fact, anywhere that books are sold. So you could buy it on Amazon or Walmart or Target or anywhere. And it's for people of any age. And you don't need to buy a separate workbook because we put the workbook right in there. So if you see other workbooks, that isn't actually the book. So the one Joyspan book has everything that you need. And if you're one that doesn't care as much for reading and you like to listen, you could also listen to it on Audible. And if you do social media, we talk about these principles on Instagram and Facebook. And it's just _gerontologist, GERONTOLOGIST, not very catchy. But there I share examples of people who are experiencing long joy spans, because my hope for all of you is that you have a long lifespan in the best possible health span, but to have a joy span as long as your lifespan and health span. And I think that is something that GrandPad is doing, is, enabling people to have the tools and connection and inspiration for this kind of longevity.
That is certainly our goal. Thank you so much for being here, for sharing your joy and your joy span with us. It is a fantastic book. It's wonderful to listen to it on audio and have Dr. Kerry read to you. So I highly recommend that. That's how I've been enjoying it. So thank you, everyone, for listening to Safe and Sound, where GrandPad helps families stay close and secure and connected. And we're dedicated to keeping those connections simple, stress-free, and so that our older adults stay connected. If you want to learn more, you can visit grandpad.net. We hope you join us again next time. Stay safe, stay connected, and keep growing your joy span.
Safe and Sound is a monthly podcast presented by GrandPad and the Layton Podcast Network. Find this and other podcasts on demand at winonaradio.com.